Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to film for you guys today and share with you my birth story. I know I've been away from my channel for, I want to say it's been like over a year, but like life has been like crazy. And yeah, it's just been crazy. Like there's no explanation other than that. But as you guys can also see, my channel name has changed. If you look back at my previous videos, it was diva.glam, and now it is GlamByAizhaZ. I wanted to film a video and explain to you guys why I changed my name, but I didn't get around to doing that. So yeah, so those who've been around for from the beginning, you'll notice that there has been a name change. Please forgive me, guys, if I'm like all over the place or like, I don't know, like I'm so nervous to even film this video because, I don't know, just like finally being able to sit down and tell the story, and it's just been crazy. And I like literally do not know like where to begin. Let's just start with my pregnancy. So my pregnancy went pretty well. Like I didn't really have many like symptoms or anything. I didn't have any like morning sickness. I really didn't have any issues. The only weird symptom that I did have, the only weird symptom I had was I had like dry mouth. It was so crazy and like weird, but like I had dry mouth, so anytime I would eat anything like bread, chips, or anything like that, like I literally would be choking. So it was really hard to like eat things like that during my pregnancy. And I would get full fast. So those are the two issues that I had, which is crazy because I wind up losing, I want to say I lost over 50 pounds through my pregnancy, which was just crazy. And honestly, I don't know if the weight loss had to do with those two symptoms or, I mean, probably that was a part of it. And let's be clear, I did lose over 50 pounds, but I was overweight and could have, lost some weight. So it wasn't like so concerning for the doctors. Plus the baby was like growing fine and all of that. So they weren't concerned. Also, I think what contributed to my weight loss was the fact that I have PCOS, which, is a hormonal disorder, and one of the side effects is weight gain, and it's hard to like lose the weight. And it's, like, I think for some reason like my body loved being pregnant. It just like regulated my hormones, and that was that. But that is a completely another video, but I did want to point that out as far as like my two symptoms that I had during my pregnancy. Other than that, everything was fine. Every time I go to the doctor, like the baby was fine. Everything was fine. I didn't have really any issues. I had just like did my anatomy scan. Everything was fine again with the baby. And so basically I had just moved into my apartment, and yeah, I didn't really do much moving. Like my husband and my brother really handled that. Obviously I didn't do any lifting. And I just remember just being tired, just simply like just moving period is tiring, even if you don't lift a finger. And I remember like just going to bed early. Then I got up to like use the bathroom, and I went to like get up because I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm done, right? Like I'm done peeing, let me get up, whatever. I got up and immediately like a gush of fluid came out. And there was like blood as well, like in the toilet. So I immediately like panicked, of course. And I called my husband in, and I'm like, what the heck? Like I was only 23 weeks pregnant. So I'm like, this is crazy. Like why? Like how? I immediately called like my doctor's office. They told me to call labor and delivery. I called in. They basically like, it was so weird because the lady was like so calm about it that it like freaked me out. But she was just like, yeah, just come in. So we get to the hospital, and I'm just like in complete panic at this point. I remember like the doctor came in along with the nurse. They did like an ultrasound, and they basically confirmed that the baby had little to no fluid. and my reality basically sunk in. Like, they just explained to me, like, you're basically going to be in the hospital until you deliver, because you're at risk of infection. And basically, if I went into labor at any point, sorry guys, I know I'm saying a lot, but if I went into labor at any point and I wasn't at the hospital, it can be dangerous for me and the baby. So we just, yeah, that was my fate. Like, I had to stay in the hospital until I delivered. Keep in mind, at this point, my water broke, but I didn't have any other symptoms. I was not in labor. The baby was not in any distress. Like, he was in there chilling without fluid. And I just remember, like, what the heck? Like, how can he be in there with no fluid? Is that okay? And they basically just, like, explained it to me, like, it's fine, the baby's fine, or whatever. So basically the term for what happened was PPROM. So I believe it's PPROM is preterm premature rupture of the membrane. And that's basically what it was. In short terms, my water broke. So yeah, so that's what happened. I was like freaking out because I'm like, I don't want to stay in the hospital. Like, I didn't want to be there. Like, who wants to be in the hospital? So I just was scared and nervous too, because I didn't know what to expect. And basically they brought me to a unit in labor and delivery called antepartum. And any pregnant woman that has to be there long term and hasn't like delivered. So it's like before delivery, basically. So whatever, I was there, and I really did hate being there because it was like you're in the same four walls. I had like an emotional breakdown like every 2 days kind of thing. I didn't really have much contact with, I mean, obviously my family could come in and stuff, but I mean, like, my husband had to go to work, and like people couldn't be there 24/7. So I'm there with the doctors and the nurses. I know they were tired of me, like I was talking their heads off. But yeah, so I was basically there for 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks I was there, and I just remember being so happy to even like go outside. Like, they have like this NICU garden, and I was like so happy to even just go to the NICU garden. I also visited the NICU, again, I was there waiting to deliver, so I did get the experience to be able to walk into the NICU, see what it looked like, I met the staff briefly, and yeah, and literally in my hospital bed, I celebrated every day that that I stayed pregnant. I also remember like the doctor having visits with the NICU doctors, and them just telling me that like if I delivered at 23 weeks, like I had just reached the age or gestational age where I want to say that they would even do anything. So that was good that I was 23 weeks, but they just kind of prepared me like, the fact that it was a 50-50 chance of survival at that point. And it just like kind of gave me all the facts. I do remember there was one doctor, and she basically told me that like just to hold on to faith, that those babies, like, they're fighters. I do remember her telling me that. And but again, at this point, I feel like reality didn't hit me. Like, I didn't know what. I just thought like, okay, I was going to have my baby early. Nothing could have prepared me for what life was going to be like after I walked into that hospital, after my water broke. Like, my life had completely changed at that point, and I don't think that it even set in for me. I just thought like, hey, I'm going to have my baby early. Yeah, so the goal throughout my hospital stay was to stay pregnant. That was the goal. Every day that I stood pregnant was a better chance of survival for him. His organs have also grown. And I do remember like immediately after getting into my room, like they gave me magnesium, which was to protect his brain. A course of steroids just to help to speed up the process for his lungs, basically. I had a few transfusions, just a lot. Like, they just was trying to, if we had to deliver, they just wanted to make sure that we did everything that we needed to do to protect the baby, right? Of being born so early. I do also remember that one of the doctors like prepared me that his lungs, like that would be probably his biggest hurdle because multiple reasons. One, I mean, he's being born so early, and two, the fact that the babies, they need the fluid to help with practice breathing. I'm not a doctor, but I believe that it does help. The fluid in some way helps to develop the lungs. I totally forgot how that worked, and I just spent the next 2 weeks there. I finally had some bleeding, and that's why I had to deliver when I did. I also had like a placenta previa. My OB basically explained that she believed it was artificial because when I had the anatomy scan, I didn't have it. Then she thinks what happened is when my water broke, the sac or whatever, like collapsed. And what happened is it kind of covered the cervix. So that's what made it a placenta previa. And since I had that, I knew from the very beginning, they prepared me that I would not be able to deliver vaginally, that I had to have a C-section. And which, I mean, I of course didn't really want, but it was just like whatever. Like, I didn't even care. I didn't know what to expect at this point. Like, I was just like, life had already took a turn. So I kind of was like, whatever, it is what it is. But what I will say is that they did prepare me, one, that I had to have the C-section. I even like visited the OR room, which is really nice just to see what it looked like because I was so nervous about having the C-section, and they did that for me, which was awesome. So after I had bleeding, the baby was basically stressed out at that point. I think I was 25 weeks and 2 days to be exact. And they just basically came in my room 6 a.m, was like, hey, we have to take him. Like, that's it. We have to take him. I was also monitored, obviously, the whole time being in the hospital, which I hated. I want to tell you guys, like, that was so annoying. Like, I just remember, like, not always having to be on a monitor, but when I had to be on a monitor, like, I couldn't move, and it was just so annoying. I know, obviously, it was to check the baby, but just annoying. At that point, I basically had my C-section. I also did not like that experience. Just feeling like numb, like not feeling your body from here down. It's just a crazy experience. Did the C-section, baby boy's here. I didn't get to have, when you deliver your baby, have skin to skin immediately. They immediately took him into basically to the NICU to offer him breathing support at that. That was pretty much it. Like, I had him and I was in recovery for 2 hours, I think, and then I was able to go down and see him in his incubator. That was pretty much it. I then was in postpartum unit recovering, and I do want to say, like, that was so depressing. Like, being in postpartum, recovering without my baby was just depressing. Like, hearing the babies cry, and I didn't have my baby. And so I did go home after 2 days. The C-section, I was up and walking. Like, I probably had my C-section at 7 a.m. I was up and walking at probably by 3, just because like I had so much gas pain. I had the option to leave either at day 2 or day 3. I felt okay enough to go home, and I was already in the hospital for 17 days. Like, at that point, I'm like, I just want to go home. I want my bed. But I will say it was weird because I did have mixed emotions, because like leaving my baby, I didn't want to do. So yeah, leaving him was something I didn't want to do. Like, at least I know that I was in the hospital and he was, and I will say, like, walking out the hospital, please excuse me, but this is a lot. Leaving the hospital without having your baby is something I could never like describe. It's the worst feeling ever. And that was the beginning of his year-long hospital stay. Even before this experience, I never knew of a NICU. Like, you literally do not know of what a NICU is and what that entails unless you step foot in a NICU, you know? But I feel like had I heard stories about like premature births and things like that, like I feel like I would have loved to be just a little more prepared, educated, you know, and just have like a better understanding before I walked down this journey. So I will say that's also another thing that motivates me to put this story out, because we need to talk about it, you know? Like I feel like not every birth, like I said, is going to be like easy births. I don't like to look at my story or our experience as a negative experience, because it's our own unique story, right? And nothing could have prepared me for what happened. And my baby is here, and it's a lot of beautiful things that came out of this experience. So please don't take this as such a negative, like, you know, like negative experience. Again, like I do have mixed emotions about how I feel about everything that has transpired. I did try to vlog throughout that experience. Of course, everything happened so fast, so I couldn't really like get everything, like I couldn't continue to vlog my experience, but I did start it, and I do want to share those clips. So I'm debating either sharing it in this video if it isn't too long. If it is too long, this video, then what I'll do is I will make a separate video that you guys can check out those clips from when I was in the hospital. That was pretty much it of my birth story.